What will happen in Chapter 5 if we saw many characters die in Chapter 4? Obviously, in Chapter 5 we have to learn all the secrets of Prototype and finally come face to face with it. Apparently, this is the only antagonist left alive and preventing us from finding out all the secrets of Playtime Co. But is that really the case? We shouldn't forget about Poppy, who has gone unknown and may now be turning against us because she'll be too afraid of Prototype. The ending of Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 left a lot of room for theories about what might be waiting for us in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. We'll start with the Prototype. He was only partially featured in Poppy Playtime Chapter 4, at least physically. We heard about him from various characters and heard his messages often, especially considering the fact that Ollie is and was the Prototype. In Poppy Playtime Chapter 4, the main focus among the villains was Harley Sawyer, while the main character overall was Doughy the Doughman. They were given the most screen time during the playthrough, but it was known almost immediately that it was Prototype who was the main villain, not Harley Sawyer. We also know that Poppy Plantation room that the player finds himself in at the end of the chapter leads to the labs that we learned earlier are the Prototype's lair. So, all significant villains are defeated or out of the game. The only thing that separates the player from finding the solution to the factory and its creators is the Prototype. Obviously, it is the one we are going to see in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5, and it is the one that will be given the most attention. In each chapter, information about the Prototype is given to the players bit by bit. In Poppy Playtime Chapter 4, we even saw his silhouette and witnessed his physical activity of killing all the little toys in the safe haven. Also at the end of Poppy Playtime Chapter 4, the Prototype says that he will find the escaped Poppy, and Kissy Missy and I must take care to land as painlessly as possible. After that, there is an explosion. The Prototype's words could mean that he wants the player to survive so he can move on. Given the Prototype's abilities, he could have killed the player and everyone else a long time ago, but he makes the killing carefully planned and one that he himself is often not involved in. We see toys, large and small, constantly feuding and killing each other under his direction. Obviously, he has a plan, but what exactly is it? I'm sure we'll be told in detail about his plans in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. That's the main thing worth knowing to begin with. We'll discuss Prototype's likely plan further in the video. However, there is something else that may be more important than the Prototype. More important than this villain might just be the factory itself and its history. The Prototype is the result of the factory's experiments and activities, and more important would be to learn about what drove the Playtime Co's executives and what brought it to the position we see now. We know that the Prototype contains a wealth of information. It copies many voices and is able to replicate any conversation it hears. Perhaps the Prototype itself can tell us something about Elliot Ludwig or Harley Sawyer that we don't know. Perhaps it will tell us about the factory and why the Prototype was made. Whatever the case, it is the Prototype that many fans consider to be the most mysterious character and the most enigmatic experiment whose purpose is not fully known. The next character that is absolutely waiting for us in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 is the legendary Huggy Wuggy. It's hard to imagine what could happen in the development team not to show him in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 after such an epic appearance of Huggy Wuggy. Fans literally screamed with joy when they saw Huggy Wuggy Wuggy in the iron door window at the end of Poppy Playtime Chapter 4. Streamers were recording reactions to his appearance and still are. And naturally, Huggy Wuggy's appearance in Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 immediately sparked new legends and theories. Let's break down some of them. Huggy Wuggy can just keep hunting down the player at the behest of the Prototype. That would be pretty easy, except for the fact that Kissy Missy can survive an explosion. Many fans are hoping for a reveal of the storyline of these two characters and are waiting for them to finally meet in one of the scenes of Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. Many theories regarding Huggy Wuggy's storyline in Poppy Playtime chapter concern Kissy Missy as well. For example, some fans believe that Huggy Wuggy may betray the Prototype and join the main character's team. If Huggy Wuggy finds out what happened to Kissy Missy because of the Prototype, he will most likely side with us. The official wiki states that Huggy Wuggy and Kissy Missy are a couple, which gives this theory even more credibility. Whoever Huggy Wuggy becomes in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5, his appearance as one of the chapter's main characters can be guaranteed. But what about Kissy Missy herself? She too has a huge chance of appearing in Chapter 5. It may seem that Kissy Missy died in Chapter 4, but I will give a few arguments in favor of her being alive. The first reason is that Kissy Missy is one of the few surviving characters that helped us and was on the same team with us. In Poppy Playtime, Chapter 5, Kissy Missy will be needed the most by the player, especially after Poppy's mysterious escape. Plus, the appearance of Huggy Wuggy at the end of Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 gives more chances for Kissy Missy to be one of the lead characters in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 as well. Their confrontation, or, on the contrary, reunion could be a great plot move, whatever such an interaction ends up being. In any case, the chances of Kissy Missy appearing in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 are largely tied to the appearance of Huggy Wuggy in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 and vice versa. Both of these characters are closely related to each other, especially in the eyes of fans. Also adding to Kissy Missy's chances of appearing in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 is the fact that Kissy Missy only appears in all chapters in conjunction with Poppy. And now that Poppy is gone, Kissy Missy can be given space to fulfill her potential as a character. Now a little bit about Poppy, who has abandoned her friend and us in a ventilation shaft. Even though Poppy disappears at the end of Poppy Playtime Chapter 4, Poppy herself can still appear in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5, and I'm sure she will. Poppy is a key character for this story and for the franchise as a whole. Poppy herself is a unique experiment and the only living experiment done before the Bigger Body Initiative. Her storyline is completely unrevealed until the end, although we learned a great deal about Poppy in Poppy Playtime Chapter 4. A lot of questions remain unresolved. The storyline with Poppy could tell players a lot about Elliot Ludwig and the beginnings of the company. Poppy could also tell us a lot about the prototype, who will most likely be our main adversary in Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. Poppy herself may not tell us anything specific, but through her interactions with the prototype, we can learn a lot about Poppy, the prototype, the factory itself, and Poppy's experiment. Each of these characters will play a role in the overall plot when they appear. The prototype may remain a villain to us, but he may also become a hero of sorts if it turns out that he was trying to protect the outside world from the toys, and was killing them for that very reason. Huggy Wuggy could end up on either the prototype side or the player's side. There are fairly meaningful reasons for both of these scenarios. And, in addition to all of the above, Kissy Missy herself can refuse to help the player in order to face Huggy Wuggy and not have to fight him. Each character reveals one facet or another of the entire Playtime Co Corporation. All of these characters have the possibility of ending up in the Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 storyline. I also want to talk about Harley Sawyer and Doughy the Doughman. Harley Sawyer was given very little attention in Poppy Playtime Chapter 4. Pianosaurus is sad to even bring up. Harley Sawyer could very well have appeared on VHS tapes or other recordings. Or he could have been remembered by other characters, such as the prototype. And thus, Harley Sawyer could have made it into Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. What do you think about these theories? Will Huggy Wuggy become our friend or foe? Where did Poppy run off to? Write your opinions and theories in the comments and I'll be sure to read them. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Good luck everyone, and bye-bye.